Thank you.
And I understand this will be a split 5-minute call. David Clinton.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Mr Speaker, I was pleased that yesterday the beautiful region of Northland got a mention in the Prime Minister's statement. I notice we've got another mention today. It could be that a by-election is what it takes to finally get some government attention to a region that has been neglected for the last 30 or 40 years at least. An unexpected byproduct, perhaps, of an unfortunate situation. So unfortunately, the PM's comment was in the context of a particular stretch of motorway, which, for his information, will not actually enter Northland. A holiday highway to Wellsford actually will not deliver benefits to Northland, anything like the scale of what was being proposed. Northland actually does not particularly need or will not benefit from $1 billion investment in a gold-plated holiday highway to Wellsford. What Northland does need is a reliable roading and rail network. We need to build resilience into that roading and rail network for very sound economic, social and indeed environmental reasons. We saw last year, in the middle of a particularly wet winter, it rained for 4 days in a row and the roading network in Northland collapsed. It's interesting to note that 9 months later, a major diversion on State Highway 1 still has a sign that says temporary bypass. We're seeing no investment in building a resilience into the roading network that is critical to the ongoing economic and indeed social well-being of Northland. A lot of the products coming out of Northland, be they primary production or manufactured goods, are time-critical products. If we cannot reliably get to ports, if we cannot reliably export from the region to the markets, then our economic well-being will be stalled, if not doomed, for the foreseeable future. So we did see a useful contribution to the debate, a document released jointly by MOBI and the MPI, grandly titled Taitokerau Northland Growth Studies Opportunity Report, which is actually a very useful piece of work. Some of the analysis, some of the extrapolation from the data in it are questionable and debatable, and that's not unusual, but it is a very useful snapshot. There's a lot of useful data in it. We were particularly pleased to see that the document does acknowledge, overtly recognises, that we must build the reality of climate change into any future strategy for Northland, as with our other regions. If we don't recognise the reality of that, then we are doomed to get it wrong. We are not, otherwise we'll be planning for some past situation rather than making sensible plans for what we know will be our future. So the report talks about the possibilities around horticulture, a more diverse horticulture, added value, more high value horticultural products, apiculture, beekeeping. Manuka is the new liquid gold, and hopefully there is a sustainable industry to be built around that. An indigenous forestry to convert from the low value price taking softwoods into high value hardwoods, where we can start setting prices on that. All of these potential very positive industries economically and socially for Northland are actually climate dependent. So it's critical we build that reality into our thinking, or we will get it wrong. So what we know Northland does not need is offshore drilling or commitment to mineral extraction. Those were perhaps appropriate industries for the 19th and early 20th century. They have no part in the 21st. Oil drilling, as we are told, will be a bonanza in jobs. That's actually at odds with what a senior director of State Oil said at a public meeting in Kaitaia last year, that if there were any jobs for locals emerging from the offshore drilling program, it would be at least 6 years from now, and there would be low value jobs, truck drivers, cooks and cleaners. That's not what the North needs. So we need investment in social infrastructure, access to healthcare, access to education, access to those basic social services, high quality, affordable homes. We're seeing nothing from this government that will assure that those opportunities exist for Northlanders. The future of this country will depend heavily on the well-being of the regions. If the regions are not performing, then the country will not perform well. We will continue to see negative social statistics. We'll continue to underperform economically, and environmentally we'll see degradation, which we simply do not need to experience. We are moving into a new low-carbon future. We need to recognise the reality of that. We need to create policies and investment that will seek to close rather than widen the inequality gap in New Zealand. We need to acknowledge the reality of climate change in Northland as elsewhere. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
James